team I loathe, the Golden State Warriors, because not only did they lose, then they blame the officials with their coach coming out, blaming the officials. And they did like everything wrong at the end of that game. Everything. Yes. You had Draymond up 3, horrible turnover. You have multiple shot clock violations. You have Steph Curry, who you're counting on, take this outrageous 3 with 11 seconds left on the shot clock.
There's like 13 seconds left in the game, and they're up by 1. You're winning the game, Steph Curry. A double step back from the top of the key. What are you doing?
Then you have pods getting blocked, obviously, at the end. And so then you go to the press conference, and every headline then becomes how the Warriors were screwed. And if you notice, and if you were listening to it, Kerr never says that he didn't foul him. He said it was unconscionable to call it, and he had a challenge. And basically his idea was we wouldn't win the challenge. Like
he would.
You wouldn't win the challenge because the guy fouled him. And so the idea is that you shouldn't call that in that moment. But to make that game all about that circumstance, which, by the way, Gary Payton Jr., what does he do? Or Gary Payton second, what is he doing anyway by throwing that ball away? It was just, I mean, to me, it was crazy to make it look like they lost because of Bill Kennedy. And I thought it was super funny that the NBA came out like immediately and been like, yeah, we stand by this. This was a foul. That happened.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Steve Kerr that in that moment, you probably should not make that call. But when you look at the replay, when Draymond Green initially engages with Jalen Green, he hits him right across the shoulder and reaches through his body to get contact with the ball. It was technically a foul. Now, again, I agree it should not have been called, but you were right about this. That wasn't, we always focus on the last possession. Like, that's one thing that we always do as basketball fans and media. We always talk about the very last possession of a game, but the previous 4 Warriors possessions were not exactly perfect. They're turning the ball over left and right. Steph Curry himself, like down the stretch, he didn't play well. And again, just like I understand what Steph is trying to do. He's trying to do like, you know, Olympic Steph, like Paris Steph, you know, right. Dagger, and then do the night. That's what he's trying to do. And he's done it so many times. He's been successful doing it so many times. But like just from like a down and distance perspective, shooting that shot, a tough step back with 13 seconds left in the game and 11 seconds on the shot clock when you are ahead in the game by 1 point is just not smart. It's not smart.
And then every headline became the Warriors lost because of the officials,
because of the refs,
according to Steve Kerr.
And I think if you're Steve Kerr, I think the appropriate way to handle that is to say, I didn't like that call, but we lost the game down the stretch with what we did, with what
your team scored 90
points. We can't control what the referees call, but we can control every other possession, and we can control taking bad shots. We can control not turning the ball over. I don't know, man. It wasn't great, but do you think that this is an example of why the Warriors should be in the trade market to get a second creator?
I mean, I thought they needed that anyway. I think that's why they were showcasing everybody over the course of the first, 2 months of the season. They're playing everybody to try to get, and that's why they're trying to do this with Kuminga right now. They're trying to get Kuminga's value up. Why is Jonathan Kuminga taking the most shots on the team the other night?
I don't know.
In a cup game. He's the one that most field goals attempted is Jonathan Kuminga in that game.
So the Podfather did a good job on his pod, sort of breaking down the trade stuff. And mentioning the Nets I thought was interesting. And I thought mentioning Schroeder in particular I thought was interesting. Mm-hmm. I could see that working.
Absolutely.
I could see that working, I'm
going to see him in person tonight.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to watch Dennis Schroeder.
Phoebus Schroeder?
He's been good this year. He's been good.
He's really good.
That Nets team has been much more competitive than I think anybody expected them to be coming into the year. Now, they very well may trade. Or they may trade Cam Johnson and Dorian Finney-Smith and Dennis Schroeder, but they're doing a good job, building the value up of those guys as well. But yeah, I would be shocked if the Warriors don't make a win now move. The timeline, this is the time. So
all you need to do is look at Draymond Green's beard, and you have to be in win now mode. There's a lot of gray in that beard. You gotta get this. That beard says win now. That beard says win now mode. Also, I want to give a quick shout to my guy Şengün. Some big buckets down the stretch.
He did hit some big buckets.
It was also a good example of like the Rockets. We've talked about it a lot, but the Rockets like need a guy. They've got like 7 B pluses, but no A minuses. And down the stretch, you're like, who are they going to go to? And they go to Şengün against Draymond Green or Kevon Looney.
And it's also going to be hard. Like, this is a team that has done it with defense. And we have seen some of these teams that have started off the year that have really hung their hats on the defensive end. And that's why they're able to be successful this year. And we know that when it comes playoff time, that's when the lack of offense is truly going to be able to show up on a game-to-game basis. This is why you have seen, when we have chronicled throughout the weeks, the Clippers with their defensive efficiency and what they've been able to do
Hawks.
so far.
We've talked about the Thunder, the Magic, the Hawks, the Clippers, the Rockets.
These teams really being able to win with defense, which on a game-in, game-out basis during the regular season gives you the opportunity to have an outstanding regular season record and maybe outperform what we initially expected, because each and every night they defend, and that's how they're able to get it. And yet, when we're thinking forward and we're thinking about their ability to be able to, have a trajectory where they can win playoff series, that it's not good enough to be okay or bottom half of the league offensively. That really shows up when it comes to the playoffs. You can get by during the regular season being awesome defensively and okay to subpar, awesome defensively and okay to subpar offensively, but you cannot in the playoffs.
No. Well, I think all those teams, and this is an example of what we're talking about the Rockets, is the Hawks. Let's say a last possession. The Hawks are going to give it to Trey, right? And, the Thunder are going to give it to SGA. And the Magic would give it to Paolo or Franz. And the Rockets, you're just like, I don't know. We're talking about these defensive teams. You're like, well, the Rockets are going to maybe Şengün, maybe Jalen Green, like maybe Van Vliet. Like, I don't really know.
Also, that Warriors team, another one.
Yeah.
The defense has been the story for what they've been able to do thus far this year. I mean, they have not been some kind of offensively potent team